Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Dealmakers Table, the healthcare series. Today, I have the pleasure of having Julianne Rizzo on our podcast from Oasis Senior Advisors. So we'll just jump right into it around the theme myths of senior living. So, Julianne, welcome. And with
Thanks for
your
having me.
extensive background as a nurse and now as a senior living advisor, you've seen the healthcare landscape evolve significantly. What initially drew you to the healthcare field, and what led you to your current role with Oasis Senior Advisors?
Well, thanks for having me, Blaine. Um, I've been a nurse forever. Even in reflection, I can't say, I don't know what drew me to it, except for something I always wanted to do. So that right away, I knew I wanted to do that. I've been a nurse, like I said, for many years. I had many different roles, but the last one, when I was a practicing nurse, really came when I was taking care of my mother as she was aging. She got ill, and I was thrown into being a bedside caregiver after I had worked in administration in a hospital for a while. And I was looking for resources to help because, that wasn't my forte, taking care of seniors, and just realized there was quite a gap in senior living care options. So I did what I had to do, take care of my mom. And then after she had passed away, um, I was just a little disenfranchised with hospitals, and hospitals being taken over, and they were patients were no longer important anymore. So then I looked for something that really married my nursing and my business degree, and kind of led me down the path of taking care of older adults.
Great, that's great. So I know when we talked earlier, you'd highlighted the high cost of senior living and the common misconceptions about Medicare coverage. How did those financial realities influence how families approach healthcare decisions, and what does that mean for providers trying to acquire, additional patients or additional clients? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, everyone listens to the news. Medicare is broke. The reimbursement is low. The reimbursement is slow. So Medicare does not, if you think about Medicare only pays for your care. So when I meet with a new client, usually I'll ask them, so what's your budget? And they'll be like, oh, I have Medicare. Well, Medicare does not cover your mortgage now. It's not going to cover it when you need senior living. So Medicare only covers the care portion. And I think that is a big misconception as we are aging. They're only going to cover the equipment, doctor's appointment, co-pays, medications, things like that. They're, like I said, they're never going to pay your rent.
Very interesting. It seems like a very common misconception out there.
It is. It is.
So you mentioned that you have three customers, when you're, helping people navigate, the senior living space. You mentioned the referral source, a senior client, and then the community. So how did this multifaceted approach to client satisfaction inform, your strategy, and what lessons can be learned from it?
Yeah. So, I have, like I said, the three facets to my business is the people that refer to me. It is the skilled nursing facilities, it's the elder care attorney, it's the financial advisor, it's the home care company. They have a client that is no longer safe in their own home, so they refer it to me. And then I meet with my senior, who is now also my client, who I have to find the right community for. And then my third person or component of my interactions is the communities that I move them into. All three of those people are my partners and my clients. So a lot of how can I say, pleasing three different types. Communication is key. Staying really ahead of the game. Um, just being present, following through.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you got a lot of people connecting with you in terms of, hey, there's an individual out here that needs some help. And I think what you mentioned is 76% of those individuals come through word of mouth referrals, indicating, traditional networking may not be as effective, possibly. What challenges do you face in reaching out to new potential clients, and what are the strategies are you exploring to broaden your reach beyond just referrals?
Yeah. So senior living is not a happy subject. Not a lot of people want to talk about it. Aging is not fun, and no one wants to plan for it. It's almost taboo. You think, oh, if I talk about it, it'll happen. So I do senior fairs, do outreach in libraries. I try and get in front of the seniors who this is going to impact, because there is nothing worse than when an emergency happens. You have fallen for the third time, but now this time you have broken something. And now you are no longer able to go up the stairs or maybe shower independently, and you need care. And now we have to make an emergency decision. So I'm a planner by nature. I want to know what's in front of me, and that's what I try and impress when I meet older adults. It's just a conversation. I have been when I work with a client, I tour with my clients. I go to these buildings. I tell them all their high points and their low points and my personal impression of them. And I have a client that I have toured for 3 years, and we've toured pretty much every community that is in the area. And so when the time comes, he's prepared. He is the anomaly. I have one client like that. I have a lot of clients that I've talked with. I had a phone call this morning. I talked to the family 2 years ago, and now they're ready to move, but she's being discharged on Friday from a skilled nursing facility. That is giving me 2 days. We could have been talking for the past 2 years, and we could have had a plan in place, but people just don't want to talk about it. They want to avoid this as much as possible. And the reality is, yes, I want to live in my own home till the day I die, but there's 1% of the population that really converts. So
Yeah,
planning
absolutely.
ahead.
One of the trends that we're seeing, I think you're seeing as well, is the need to have more staff, both to handle your day-to-day business as well as for these facilities to have qualified labor. What have you seen as the impact both on your business as well as availability of solutions for seniors in getting them the services that they need?
Well, COVID really did a number on the senior industry. Not that it didn't impact everybody, but we lost a ton of providers. They don't want to go back into the field. So we are seeing senior living buildings closing entire floors because they can't staff it. You can't bring someone in and charge them a large amount of money and then not have care providers for it. So our census is lower because they're closing entire floors. The transition, people are staying at jobs at a very short period of time. I was talking to a home care company on Monday. I had lunch with them, and I said, "So how is your staffing?" And he said what was a very interesting shift that he's noticed recently is he does not care when he looks at a resume, people who have many jobs, he's looking for gaps because there's so much work out there to be had. You can change your job because it's not a fit. It's that they haven't worked for a long period of time. That's the red flag, which is totally different than when I was a practicing nurse.
Absolutely.
You
You know,
stayed
and
longevity.
exactly. And you mentioned this a little bit earlier in the conversation where, people should be a bit more proactive. I'm a planner as well. So thank you for being that proactive person for people who need it. But, can you walk people through, what would a typical ideal journey be? I mean, I remember working with my mom, talking with her about a similar situation. And she was proactive. She did get insurance to help with those types of life events. She was part of the 1%. She passed away in her home, so she didn't need to exercise it, but she was a planner. She was ready. So for the audience who's thinking about a senior living, what's the ideal stepwise journey that they should take, and how can they best prepare themselves along the way for those financial burdens, right? Insurance or savings or, average, run, cost per month for senior living. I know it varies, but in your area that you serve, maybe you can give the audience a little bit of flavor of, what should they be doing? What should they be thinking about?
Um, well, it starts with, I would say downsizing. Let's go back a second. We need to have a really good look at our financial picture. So we have buildings for all different incomes, all different budgets, from $700 a month to $1 million a month, $1 million a year buy-ins, right? So there's all different types. So it's really understanding what your money looks like. Most people fund senior living based off the sale of their home. So if you have a home that you've lived in for 30 years, and you're going to move from that home, those assets, that escrow is going to help fund it. But now you have to downsize. You have to get rid of all that stuff that's overwhelming, right? So it is a process. I hate doing them like my client that I spoke to today. Now we are moving her. She's never going to go back to her home. She's never going to be able to look at all of her things again because she's no longer able to walk up those stairs. And she lives in a condo that is a walk up. So someone else is going to have to go in and clean her home. So just being proactive. I'm a I'm a big proponent of it, and nobody wants to do it, but just knowing what your budget is, where you want to land. People think, oh, well, my kids will take care of me. Sure. But keep in mind, your kids probably have children now. Your kids probably both have jobs now. Are they planning on you moving in with them, or are they planning on funding your senior living? Have you had a conversation with your children about that? Are your children in the know that that's going to be their responsibility? I was absolutely no problem. Didn't need to ask, but not all situations are the same. So it's a conversation with your family. It is knowing what your budget is, knowing how much money you're going to have for this, knowing where you want to land, and really having a good look at your physicality. What will you be able to do? The independent buildings are fantastic because they provide that socialization that we so badly learned that we needed because of COVID, right?
Right.
We saw so many people decline because they were alone. We're tangible. We need to touch people. We need to talk to people. We need to be in front of people every day. And that really didn't happen during COVID. And we saw what happened because of that. So I'm a big proponent of independent living if that works for you, because you start building those relationships. A lot of people lose a spouse. Now, you've now lost half of your income, right? You've also lost your entertainment, your best friend, your buddy that you hung out with every day. Those need to be filled, or we're going to see a rapid decline. I'm not saying we're moving you a week after your spouse dies, but it's starting a plan to get that in place. So I like planning ahead. There are many, many different types of senior living buildings, many different types of options, locations. I don't know if you recognize this, but because it's my industry, but there are senior living buildings going up all over, all the time. It's because of the recognition that what are we doing for our seniors?
Right. And your proactive approach and your hands-on approach really do stand out. I mean, you mentioned tours with the clients, one client taking them all over, all over the place, and probably every senior living area, and then assisting with the financial planning as well. How does that personal level of service differentiate you, and why is it becoming increasingly crucial to have that, hand holding and personalized service? Why is that so important for the people that work with you?
Well, I'll tell you that it all comes down to cost, right? So most of my clients are the children of,
Okay.
it's the children, the daughters of, because the older adults don't have the technology background to do it, or the drive to do it, right? They just want somebody else to take care of it. So I provide that personalized service, so I simplify that search. Like I said, I think in my area here, I have 55 communities. It's a lot of buildings to go through. So working with me, I simplify that search. I know what your social needs are, your religion. I find out if you are a vegetarian, if you like a dog, a community that has a dog path, if they have a pool. I can simplify your search so we only need to go to 2 or 3. You can go on, the big bad world wide web and put in a community. They're not going to give you rates, and they're not going to give you those little nuances. Working with me or my company, we really help simplify that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Sounds like working with you is just the easiest way for people to get into this space and really understand it. Obviously, this is what you do. So you
I
are
think
the
so.
expert.
Yep,
And
I think
everyone else
so.
who tries it probably is just hacking at it.
Well, there are a whole bunch of online aggregates, so you could put your information in the World Wide Web and it is sold to all of the communities, and then you are bombarded. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the right community for you. It is just your phone number is spewed over everywhere. So I would very much caution you doing that.
So I guess to, transition into the closing and, from your perspective, what are the other myths that people have around senior living, and how can people start being a bit more proactive and thinking about this, either for themselves, for their parents? What's your recommendation around that space, being proactive, and any other things people should like start, you know, listening to, or what the myths may be?
Okay. So the first thing I would say is in our taxes, I can only speak to Illinois, but I know it's all across the United States. In our taxes, we have already earmarked money for our local area on aging. So I would tell everyone to get in contact with your local area on aging. Here in Illinois, there's age options, solutions for care, aging care connections, pathlights. There's plenty of them. They have great resources. Presentations all about Medicare, all about home care, all about downsizing. So that's probably the first thing that someone should get in contact with. Again, it's also going to promote socialization, right? Because we want them around other people. We don't want them in their home alone. Meals on Wheels is a fantastic service that is provided by our local area on aging. And not only does it give them a nutritious meal couple days a week, but it also brings someone into their environment on a regular basis so we can identify if there's something going on. So I'm a big proponent of our local area on aging, and we've already paid for them. It's in our taxes, so it's free. Planning ahead, just getting those conversations with your family together, right? And finding out what's important to you.
That's great. That's great. So, Julianne, for anyone who's listening who might be facing these challenges, um, how can they learn more about, Oasis Senior Advisors and the work that you do?
Yeah, well, I'm always available to chat. My website is oasissenior.com/Southwest Chicago. We are located in 47 or 41 states, I believe, over 160 advisors. So any area you're in, I'm sure I can connect you with somebody, as well as we have a local, a regional team that's maybe not boots on the ground, but they can help talk you through this and simplify your search. We also work with home care companies, estate planning, elder care attorneys, elder abuse attorneys. We have all of the resources available to you in the senior space. Glad to be a resource for you.
That's great. Well, thank you, Julianne, for coming on the podcast. Do appreciate it. And for anyone listening who needs help in this space, please go ahead and contact Julianne. If she can't help you directly, you heard it from her. She's hands-on. And if you do get the pleasure of working with her, I'm sure you're in great hands. So thank you again, Julianne. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.